by Russia taking the upper hand militarily and saying we're going to have disarmament. Because they'll insist on everybody giving up. They keep a little more than the others always have an upper hand, while they then turn the productivity on the people. Otherwise, they can't hold together. That's what Poland's all about and so forth.
There are a lot who would say now you're advocating socialism. How do you remain apolitical in that so that you qualify it as a humanitarian view rather than apolitical view?
Trying to understand what God is doing. Try to look at it evolutionarily. I'm sure that when we now I spoke about discovering 2 billion more galaxies and 100 billion stars each, I'm sure those people, if there are any people out there, they're not interested in Republicans and Democrats in a little planet called Earth and the solar system. So that I think it's absolute nonsense. I'm giving you my feeling about politics, simply power structure all the time. Who gets the power? And I'm not interested in power structure. I'm interested in total humanity. And because I'm interested only in total humanity, I don't have good and bad people because I told you we learn to learn by trial and error. So when people make a mistake, I don't say they're wrong. In fact, you've never learned anything. If I know anything and you ask me questions, because I really made more mistakes than anybody I know, and I've been really, the one discipline I have is to really be sure, I say this integrity, don't kid yourself. You made a mistake, your judgment is wrong. Say so clearly and uncover what really is, because you're pretending to something, pretending yourself. So I live really very much on the truth, and I don't have anything to say to you that comes out from that, which I'm then saying, if all humanity does behave in that kind of way, going along with the truth, whatever it may be, we're not going to get there.
Many of the established religions and the educational institutions seem to stifle creative thinking in that they demand some degree of blind faith and that they mandate no mistakes if not possible. So it's contradictory to what you're advocating. How does one overcome that? How does somebody begin to adjust their life to think for themselves rather than following what has been predetermined?
I wrote a book called Synergetics, Mathematics of Nature, and I put it at the beginning of it, dare to be naive. If you see something that looks different from what they taught you at school, pay attention to it. I'd like to get into, for instance, the fact that I was asked in 1953 to give the monthly discourse to the members of the faculty club in Massachusetts Institute of Technology. And when I came, there were about 200 distinguished scientists there. I said, would anybody in this room who doesn't see the sun going down in the evening, please show their hands? There were no hands. I said, I'm absolutely shocked to be dealing with such ignorant people. You've known for 500 years the sun is not going down. The earth is revolving to obscure the sun. And you call yourself scientists, you call yourself teachers and professors, and you tell your own child, look down, the sun going down. So that we consider it practical to misinform or to keep on with the misinformation seems to me very shocking. The words up and down have no meaning. And I'm sure every audience I've ever come to is still linked with it. And where do we get to those words? We got it from the time when the great Roman Empire was building up. After Alexander the Great, the next big power structure moved to the little bit to the west, from Greece to Italy. And the great Roman Empire found that the people were not being very impressed by their military power. They found then that the people, life was so miserable. The people were interested in the priests and religion about getting into the next world where you're going to have things great, that this world was simply a trial. So we have the Roman emperors putting people in the Colosseum with the lions. They said, Mr. Pope, you're going to hell, we're going to heaven. So let the lions come on. We get the words up and down because though there was 4 really very great Greek scientists in the 400 BC to 200 BC who really discovered quite clearly that we were in the solar system. They were able to describe it. We've got Eratosthenes in 200 BC measuring the circumference of the Earth to a very fine degree. In 200 BC there were globes. The Roman emperors finding that people not being impressed and kowtowing to them disliked this very much, so they destroyed the great library of Alexandria with information like that. And they said, listen people, we have an appointment through the Son of God. We have it politically set up that we're the authorities on your getting into heaven. And you've got to pay attention to it. And so they were able to amalgamate the military power and the religious power. And they said, obviously, we can't have a solar system because with a planet, we're the head of the universe. We're representing God here. And so we have a nice flat Earth going to infinity out here, and the sun is going around us. And if we're on a flat Earth going to infinity, then all the perpendiculars to it are parallel to each other. Each tree is parallel to the other tree. All the people standing there, obviously, parallel to each other. So we have only perpendicular and parallel. You have only 2 directions to go, up and down. And they said, we control the up traffic, and you have to confess to us every day, or you're going down. So they controlled ascension into heaven. So the idea of ascent into heaven, the heaven was up, was very powerful in people. But if you find we're on the sphere, then you find each of the perpendiculars, tree, go over here, and keep pointing. None of them are parallel to each other.
Right.
They're diverging. So the words up and down are wrong. I heard the President of the United States congratulate the astronauts on getting up to the moon. And they spoke to it on the TV when they did it, of being up here on the moon. And they were in the direction of my feet when they said it. We find they only got to the moon by virtue of the instruments that were focus on the sun and other stars and angulation control. When the world's mathematicians try to calculate sending the first of our rocketry into the moon, they missed it by over 100,000 miles. In other words, our mathematical capability is very, very awry, and we only got there by, say, on light-controlled instruments focused on the sun and other stars. Now, what do we do? The first question I say, what words should I use? And the words are in and out. The aviators learned long ago they were not going up and down, they're going to come in for landing, and they go out. So in is always point toable. You can go into the moon, go into the sun. Out is any direction. You go in to go out on the other side. Out is all directions, and in is specific. Really quite different there. Now, you can get in electronics and begin to tune in. You tune in the program, okay? And then or you tune it out. But the fact that it isn't tuned in doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Right.
This gives you a entirely new idea about life. For instance, we used to have in the old up and down world, you had things and you had space. So rather than space, we run into the thing. Now we have what you call tuned in and tuned out. And because it's not tuned in doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And again, you get quite a different idea about life and death here.
I wanted to ask you what you felt about it.
That, yeah. So that I find the minute you take the trouble to say, I'm going instairs and outstairs, though it sounds rather awkward for a few days, you begin to just get into the world as it really is, where we have discovered these invisible electromagnetic waves.
When you said...
No human being has ever seen outside himself. You see little children going around touching everything, say, why does that child have to touch things? All of our seeing is in our imagination inside our brain. But they get information through the optical system that something's out there, so go around touching it. By the time you get to be your age, you now assume that you do see it outside. So you think you see me sitting over here. You're not seeing me over here. You're seeing me in your brain. Very important to realize we only live and exist in our brains here. So whatever living is, there's somebody else other than yourself who knows of you. Life begins with awareness, and no otherness, there's no awareness. So our awareness of the otherness is where we live then. You begin to meet me here today, I meet you. You're from now on, if I remember your name, I remember you. Very often at age 87 that I am, I write to old friends. I get a letter back from their wife saying, you didn't know but Frank died. I write back and I said, obviously, we live in here, and Frank was absolutely alive. I wouldn't have written to him. He's still alive as far as I'm concerned. And as long as anybody remembers you, you're going to be alive, I assure you. That's where you live.